Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Spiritist Society of Baltimore, our live webcast. Today we will be presenting Yasco Aracava, but beforehand, as usual, we always like to open up with a small message and a small reading from the book Happy Life, and then opening up with a simple prayer. So, if you would join me as I do this small reading from page 166 of the book Happy Life. Be a real friend. Know how to conduct yourself with discretion and nobility with those who choose your friendship. Discretion is a rare treasure in earthly friendships. It is normally replaced by insensitivity and unseriousness. Everyone likes noble and discreet company, which inspires confidence and leads to tranquility. Listen, see, follow the conversations with nobility, and be faithful to the confidence deposited in you. A wonderful reminder from Joanna DeAngelis, the book Happy Life, psychographed by Givaldo Franco. So join me in closing your eyes before we present our presenter this evening. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable, just to help this moment of concentration and meditation. In prayer, we give thanks to our divine creator, our model and guide, Jesus, our mentors, spirit guides, for this moment to be connected to one another and to offer this solace and these teachings to many who are in need across the globe. We ask you, dear Creator, to inspire our speaker, Yasco, this evening to be a true vehicle for your light and your love. And may all those who hear this message be comforted, be consoled, and find balance and tranquility. And in Jesus' name, we open up our meeting this evening, and so be it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone watching. Tonight we have our presenter, Yasco Aracava, giving her presentation. Oops, let's go back to the presentation name real quick. To serve, not just a work done. Bonuses, Mindfulness and Health Benefits by Yasco Aracava. So thank you so much, Yasco, for being with us here this evening. We are so excited to listen to you present this evening. So please, Yasco, bless us with your presentation.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Kirsten. Yes, I'm so happy to be here. Of course, it would be nicer if we could be together, giving hugs. But I think I feel people that are connected, they are in the same tune, same frequency, high frequency. And that means we can resonate the good wavelength and be the way to spread this wonderful environment to all places where maybe need. So I chose this topic during the pandemic because we were called a lot in different areas to serve and to work. And there have been a lot of misunderstanding, not exactly misunderstanding, but some concept, old concept of work, labor, service. And because most of the time in the civilization, there are people that are wealthy from high class. They don't need to work. They can have servants, even slaves. And the other spectrum, you have others considered low class in old time and even today, with, I don't know, sometimes punishment. Whatever it is, there is this big difference. So those that are from this lower class, workers at since ancient time, they have to endure very difficult conditions of labors. And especially we're going to talk about the Hebrew history, because they have been in slavery, in captivity for so long, millennia, either, in Egypt, in Babylonia, by the Assyrians, in many different parts of the Assyrian Empire, Greek, Alexander, and then comes finally during Jesus' time, it was the Roman Empire tried to suppress, tried to slave, or slaving actually, the Hebrew people. So at that time, if you don't fulfill the request or the demands of the ruler, even if it's considered very unfair, they asking to work 24/7 without any rest, or they fail to give the produce in the quantity that they demand, sometimes beyond their capability as a humans. They were very harshly punished, the family, and with physical restraint, the physical, all the damage in their body, different parts of the body. And plus, if they had young girls, the girls were demand to be given to them, and they were used as the prostitute, sorry the term. And if it was a young boy, son, they usually were taken as slaves, and depends on the situation to, go to the galleys and there get some waiting for their death. So it was a harsh time where so labor work was considered really some type of punishment. And if you don't need to work to labor, that means either you were blessed by high, you know, spirit or God, or you were born, fortunately, you were born in a good family, a royal family, etc. But this came up to very recent. It's still happening probably in many different parts of the country or the universe. For instance, just to remember stories that I used to hear from my grandmother. My grandmother went to Brazil in the beginning of 1900s. That means before the First World War. So by the Second World War, when Japan was involved in this Second World War and had to surrender to the Allies, my grandmother was in Brazil already for 40 years, for instance, but still she used to say the reverence to the emperor Hirohito that was ruling that time was still there in the whole people of Japan. And she used to say that he was considered to be God. He was considered to be God. So that defeat to the Americans, especially, it was so painful to them, even to my grandmother, because they never had heard the voice of the emperor, because the God should not be heard. There is no voice to the simple people. And so when they first uh, heard the speech, the surrounding speech that the Americans more or less asked him to deliver, it was a shock for them. So they were considered God, and now they lost this condition of being God. They became, after the war, simple, real, simple people, common people. They lost that royal, that godlessly. Anyway, so and you're gonna see that this goes in many places. So I decided to talk about this topic because 2,000 years ago, Jesus came to change the status quo of that situation of the Hebrew people, the Jewish people. At that time, they were already divided, and the Jewish from the south and the Samaritan and other people from the north. They were in captivity, and already the high priest had made some how to say agreement with the Roman rulers, the governors of the Judea, the Palestine, that they should allow them, the Jewish people, to obey and to respect the Sabbath. What was the Sabbath? Sabbath was uh, one day in a week, starting the sunset of Friday to sunset of Saturday, 24 hours, when nobody could do any type of work, no physical work, no work for others, even to families. So why that Sabbath was established in this way, in a very definitive way, and who did not follow the rules and the obedience to that 24 hours, they could be punished because the Hebrew had been in slavery so long time. And in being a slave, you don't have any one day or couple of hours of rest. So that was important for the Hebrew people to have at least one day in a week of total rest, no work. So it was a big accomplishment. So of course there is other things, deviation from that thing, but we're gonna talk about that. So that's how I try to bring this type of this concept of what is the difference between serving, working, or between work and labor, etc. So look at this picture. Does it look work? Does it look labor? Does it look service? This, if you pay attention a lot, you're gonna see yourself in the center of, of this picture. This, you remember that many people in our center was involved in this organization called Fraternity Beyond Borders. And we, a small group, also participate, not digging the well in Mozambique or Madagascar, but we did little covers for the notebooks that you can see there in the center of this picture. And we sent last year to Mozambique, and was a great joy. So what comes out, what word you would describe looking at this? You can write in the chat. Look at each one of these people involved in this project, or this Fraternity Beyond Borders. Uh, I imagine I would classify joy, uh, peace, like Wagner, and the laughter, like Gibaldo and the other people are so happy. I don't know what was the subject, but they look so relaxed and what. So I see that we could be involved in some kind of serious project, but still having the joy from the heart, so happy to be there involved in the project. So I wish we could have the same sentiment, emotional sentiment. All the other, 8 hours per day that sometimes we work in different places, work with people that sometimes spend more time with us than our family, like in my case. So actually, charity, it was already defined, and the Spiritists know a lot. Charity is love in action. So you actually put you love, our love in action, doing charity. It's not just common charity. Here you have. No, it has to come from inside. And serving is a way of loving. So work also should be, any type of work should be a way of loving. So here's the story. Jesus healed on the Sabbath. It was a big deal, as we're gonna see. So after he was questioned why he did this healing during Sabbath, he said in John 5:17, my Father is always at his work to this very day, and I too am working. So that was a big disobedience to the high priest, but he wants to prove that that was not a regular work, like to get a salary in the end of the month, or to give the crop that you harvest to the owner. No, this is to serve who is in need. So there's many situations, events that you may go to the different gospels. So Jesus heals the crippled woman who was really in the Sabbath. He was already inside the temple. This woman that was for many years in that situation because of some obsessors, Jesus called her to come to inside the temple, where, if you see the pictures, only man was allowed to be inside. So Jesus was breaking many rules, not only uh, healing in a day that was considered a day of not working whatsoever. He was there to heal this crippled woman. Also, the man that was born blind also was healed and during the Sabbath. And it seems almost he did on purpose, just to give some example, some lesson. Jesus heals even Peter's mother-in-law. They say it was in a Sabbath, and as soon as she was healed, she went to prepare something to serve. So is this considered some breaking? But the rules, according to Jesus, no. She was supposed to go and be, since she was healed, to give back by serving, by giving things to people that were there, probably praying for her. So I chose a little bit to say a little bit more details of the situation, how they deal the situation, the Sabbath and the serving
Hi guys. It seems that Yasco lost his signal, so we are trying to contact her.
Everyone's okay,
But
okay,
she's back. She's back.
okay.
Okay,
So I don't know where you stopped, but I was
for some
reading.
reason, yes. Okay, so probably you have to do again.
Okay,
So
okay.
okay, go ahead.
So this is a story of the paralytic that was a paralytic for 38 years. And this pool of Bethesda, it was known to be the story that was going around is that an angel once in a while would descend, stir the water, and who could go first and uh, jump into this water, it could be healed. So everyone was around waiting, those in need, waiting to be the first. So imagine this paralytic person there around. What a chance he could have. So John describes as follows. Sometimes later, he was doing something. Jesus went up to Jerusalem for one of the Jewish festivals. Now there is in Jerusalem near the Sheep Gate a pool, which is in Aramaic is called Bethesda, and which is surrounded by the covered colonnade. So beautiful place according to the reconstruction from the ruins. Here, a great number of disabled people used lie, I don't know how to say, the blind, the lame, the paralyzed. One who was there had been an invalid for 38 years. When Jesus saw him laying there and learned that he had been in this condition for such a long time, he asked him, "Do you want to get well?" He said, "Sir," the invalid replied, "I have no one to help me into the pool when the water is stirred. While I am trying to get in, someone else goes down ahead of me." Then Jesus said to him, "Get up, pick up your mat, and walk." At once the man was cured. He picked up this mat and walked. So this sentence is very important. Jesus gave an order. You have to pick your mat to carry and walk. Well, it was a Sabbath. You're not supposed to do any physical work. So you're not supposed to carry your mat to walk outside. You have to be inside and not doing this thing. So that's just to call attention. The day on which this took place was a Sabbath, and so the Jewish leaders said to the man who had been healed, "It is the Sabbath. The law forbids you to carry your mat." But he replied, "The man who made me well said to me, 'Pick up your mat and walk.'" So they asked him, "Who is this fellow who told you to pick up and walk?" The man who was healed had no idea who it was, for Jesus had slipped away into the crowd that was there. Later, Jesus found him at the temple and said to him, "See, you are well again. Stop sinning, or something worse may happen to you." The man went away and told the Jewish leader that it was Jesus who had made me well. So he finally, Jesus prepared the condition for the high priest to know who had healed in order to give the following lesson. So, because Jesus was doing this thing on the Sabbath, the Jewish leaders began to persecute him. In his defense, Jesus said to them, "My Father is always at his work to this very day, and I too am working." For this reason, they tried all the more to kill him, to kill Jesus. Not only was he breaking the Sabbath, but he was even calling God his own Father, making himself equal with God. So Jesus was very, very courageous and poking in the sore spots of these high pride priests of the Jewish religious Sanhedrin, which is the temple. Um, so just to show that Jesus tried to say, look, and in other instance, he says, look, if your animal, your donkey or your sheep falls and is in danger and falls in a hole, don't you go to save? Of course you go. So if you can go to save your little animal, why can't we also save our fellow human being? Are they less than your donkey, your sheep, etc.? So that was the argument of Jesus. So he's making the point that what he's doing is to serve the necessity and not to work for someone else for some wage or some salary and be continue to be slaved. So 1800 years or 2000 years later, almost, Kardec, of course, he asked about this labor, and there is even the law of labor, which is the necessity to work of labor. So Kardec asks the spirits that were trying to make the spirits book, involved in spirits book. Question 675. Ought we do understand by labor only occupations of a material nature? So by then, we are a little more evolved in order just to get rid of this concept that, well, is only to give the crop, all the material, the produce to my owner or to my boss, you know. So Kardec asks a little bit more. No, the spirit labors like the body. The spirit labors like the body. Every sort of useful occupation is a labor. So it has to be useful. What Jesus was doing is to do something so much in need because that person was suffering, the other was in need. So we also have to see the labor, if it has been useful or not. Is not only if it's coming from inside out, but also if it's useful. Oh, I'm doing this even though the person doesn't want. Well, that's not the way. We have to see if it's useful. Then it's good. The next question, why is labor imposed upon mankind? It is a consequence of its corporeal nature. So once we are incarnated, well, we have to labor. Why? It is an expiation and at the same time a means of developing its intelligence. So the mankind came through the labor not only to expiate, to fix the wrongdoing of previous life, but also to develop the intelligence. Everybody knows once we do 2, 3 times, we start to make a better painting, a better job. You know, we learn some kind of word processing or whatever. And we became faster and better, even doing our masks. You know, we're doing much better, much more beautifully done. This is why he's made to owe his food, his safety, and his well-being entirely to his labor and activity. So we have to get our food, our safety through our labor, you know, or giving in exchange. If someone is giving me security, with my other talent, I'm supposed to give back to the society, to the community, to the whole universe at large. To him who is too weak in body, so old people, sick people, for the rougher kinds of work, God gives intelligence to make up for it. but the action of the intelligence is also a labor. So don't consider I'm reading a book to prepare a lecture or what else, to be more acquainted, to write a report. This is a labor. This is a labor preparation to deliver a report, which now I can see once it's printed, once it's sent, etc. Okay. So to serve is not just a work, now has some bonuses. It's not only that we have this duty to serve, to work, to labor, but God has made this thing so wonderful. So it's so divine the way this thing is put it, that plus we have some bonus that will make our well-being better, our health in much better condition, etc. So this gentleman, Viktor Frankl, he says, lack of life meaning is the chief source of stress as well as anxiety. Viktor Frankl was a psychiatrist, survivor of Nazi concentration camp, and he created through watching, taking note of the concentration camp, how people were struggling and reacting to that situation that sometimes there was no good ending. So he created logotherapy, which is the therapy through understanding the meaning of life. So logotherapy was developed by neurologist and psychiatrist Viktor Frankl on a concept based on the premise that the primary motivational force of an individual is to find a meaning in life. We have to find, each one has our individual destiny goal. No life is equal to the other. No life has the same meaning equal to the other. Each one have to find the meaning of our own life. According to Frankl, we can discover this meaning in life in three different ways. One, by creating a work or doing a deed. Well, this seems so clear to us, right? Because we've been doing, we try to do good job, we try to deliver something, but sometimes we are caught up and we start to see work as punishment. No, we stay in a difficult workplace, and we start not to find a good meaning of life through that work. So we have to reevaluate why is that, in order to make it meaningful. Two, by experiencing something or encountering someone. Well, that we also trying to do, especially trying to encounter someone special, have a marriage, have kids. And that seems that is a good meaning. Be a mother, be a parent, give good opportunities, lifestyle for the family, or experience other things, being professor, create, I don't know, some, I don't know, product, except, or invent something. Third, by the attitude we take toward unavoidable suffering. So let's go back. We can discover this meaning in life by three different ways. So the third is our attitude. How I'm going to act upon some unavoidable suffering. Who did not witness unavoidable suffering, if it's not personally, to some people that we like, we work with, etc. So we, in this moment, many people said, I finally got why I'm here, what I'm supposed to do. The experience of the near-death experience is a big turning point for many people that came back after resuscitation because they saw the past, what they've been doing, and now is the future that opens ahead with a different meaning. Life has a different meaning. So towards unavoidable suffering, like Frankel described, everybody was waiting to go to the gas chamber or whatever that way to death, and the ones survived by getting the meaning life. They were picturing what they would been doing if they were outside looking at the beautiful field, their children, etc., what they would do once they are liberated. And those that died, they had a negative uh, thinking or sensation about their situation. And sometimes they die before sometimes even the time comes. And he says, and that everything can be taken from a man, but one thing. So everything can be gone, but one thing not. The last of the human freedom to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. So I have this freedom to choose to act upon in my way under this circumstance. It can be completely different from others, but I'm not supposed to be judged. I'm not supposed to be. So his question is, what gives your life meaning? We have to go and search for the meaning because this is going to be very important in moments of difficulties. Okay, so he talked about stress and why I'm bringing the stress because it's stress in our days, especially not even before COVID situation. Stress was the baseline, very difficult in many people's life, and it's the source of a lot of not good things. So why we should get rid of stress? There is no people that would say, I never experienced stress. I have no idea what you're talking about. No, we all know. And some will say, well, I was very fortunate to get rid of. I overcame, etc. I had the help, or etc. etc. But why get rid of stress? So let's go a little bit to brain. It's dramatic. The color one is black, gray. The other one is colorful. But the MRI machine it is built to put some colors. That means this is increase in activity. This is increase in calcium. This is increase in sugar level in certain areas. So they artificially in the image was supposed to be dark. They put this in the high activity, they put some reference color so people could figure out that when it's red is one thing, when it's yellow is another thing. So we see that they say stress can make your life considerably less colorful. That's true. My life is going to be dull, dark. But how about the brain? Overcoming stressful events can make us more resilient. But when the stress is severe or chronic, it needs to be dealt with immediately. So stress can be positive. That's how if we don't have stress, we don't run, we don't rush away, we don't accelerate our pace, so we don't get resilient, we don't learn, we're not conditioned to harsh time. But it has to be short living. So there is a boost of neurochemicals. And once the things are, we have to be able to fade away and go back to the normal. But if we're not able to do that and becomes a severe or chronic stress, now there is a problem. Now there is. So let's see. Repeated stress is a major trigger for persistent inflammation in the body, not only in the brain, in the vessel, in the brain. No, the whole body, many places of the body. And inflammation can lead to a range of healthy problems, including diabetes, heart disease. Well, in our day, if you go to any science or any medical report of this chronic disease, inflammation is the baseline, is the background of many of these chronic disease. And this is start with our way of stress and our way to see life in a negative way, and that will trigger some hormones that start to slowly damage the vessel in inner sheet of the vessel. In that point starts to accumulate some oxidative product there and becomes and can plug the vessel if it's arterial vessel in the heart, or can have a stroke or something. So inflammation, we have to get rid of inflammation through different type of maneuver. The brain is normally protected from damaging circulating molecules by what we call blood-brain barrier, BBB. So the nature made a barrier that many toxic things that we put in our body by eating, swallowing, doesn't go to the brain. There is this barrier. However, it says, this barrier, under the repeated stress, a stress that was not taken care, this barrier becomes leaky and circulating inflammatory proteins can get into the brain. So you're not supposed to have this inflammatory thing inside the brain. So the brain's hippocampus, which is the main site for our memory formation, is a critical brain region for learning memory and is particularly vulnerable to such an insult. Now we call it insult. In humans, it has been shown that inflammation can adversely affect brain systems linked to motivation and mental agility. So if you see how now is getting so prevalent, patients with Alzheimer's disease, with this neurodegenerative disease, it didn't start just now after 60 years old or 70 years old. No, the symptomatology may appear when we are old, but the things, this inflammatory accumulation, damage in the brain, start most likely 20, 40, sometimes 40 years before, by not treating or taking care of the situation that they start to raise the amount of these inflammatory proteins. This is also evident in chronic stress effects of hormones in the brain, including cortisol and related factors. So cortisol, we know it's related really to stress. It's a stress hormone together with some hormones from suprarenal place, noradrenaline, etc. So it's good because it helps us to fight, fly, run away from the danger. But if that stressful, fearful situation stays when the things finish, we were not able to fade it away. This condition now becomes a chronic situation and can affect mood, can cause mood disorders and shrinkage of hippocampus, which then people start to lose memory. They cannot learn anymore, which is the main thing that you find in people, old people with neurodegenerative disease, which is, the Alzheimer's disease is the most popular one, but can be Parkinson, can be other type of disorders. So how to overcome stress? We have ways. That's good. No, the UK government project of mental well-being has recommended this series of things, evidence-based ways to mental well-being. So they start to collect evidence. What kind of attitude will overcome stress? So every time you say, whoops, I'm stressful, I had a horrible situation, be aware. We have to be aware that we have to do something, that thing is not good if we stay with that. Exercise. It reduces chronic stress, not only because we're doing the physical movement that change the blood circulation, the rate, but also it distracts us from that loop that we put in ourselves in. Say, I have to forget about that situation. It's solved. If it cannot be solved, it's because it cannot be solved. But you have to get out from this loop of repetitive thinking about the stressful situation. And don't be rebellious. Oh, but I don't want to think about, I want just to think about this because that guy was not supposed to make me such a harsh situation in my life, etc. Well, the guy is not even thinking about. So let's take care of about being aware that stress is not good. So let's do something, yoga, exercise, whatever. Give a big laughter, something. So exercise reduces chronic stress. It tackles inflammation by leading to anti-inflammatory response. Look at how wonderful our body is. It gives an anti-inflammatory response. That means we have ways, some chemicals, some procedure to fight the inflammation. It doesn't need to take any drug, any medicine. We have a built-in process to do that. The only thing we have to do is to boost. It increases neurogenesis. How important is this? We always thought brain cells could not be regenerated. Once you're born with that, you're done with that, no more new cells. No, this is not correct. They are finding that there are some certain areas and with some manipulation that there are neurogenesis, genesis of neurons, the production of new brain cells in important areas such as hippocampus. What was hippocampus? Hippocampus was the area of learning and memory. It also improves our mood, our cognition, and physical health. So these neurogenes, by fixing the brain, also fix the physical. It's not only the other way around, that the physical health would better, make better my brain function, but the opposite also. Once I am in a good brain condition, the psychology changes, the physical health changes. Mindfulness, allowing us to take notice and to be curious about the world around us and spend time in the moment. So be mindful. Look, there is more than my boss. There is this beauty. There is, let me pay attention to the details of people that live with me, surround me. Be curious. Go to the internet, see something, hopefully something that you can laugh upon. So this is important. Nowadays, there is no difficulties. Connecting with people around. Or this connectivity, I gave a talk a little bit before about connectivity to people. It's very important. Even with me that live alone, it's so important to be with you guys here. For me, it's such a crucial thing to be here, to see that you guys are around, me, And we'll make some questions also to prove you being around me. So family, be around family, friends, neighbors. This is a distraction and reduce the feeling of stress. Let's move, not the movement, just standing up and going outside to say hello. This is a way changing my stress condition. And the later is giving, volunteering, donating to a charity activates the reward system in your brain and promotes positive feelings about life. I want to talk about this because we talk about serving, about giving to others. So I put in different colors. So you can see the face of these people, how happy they are. A dog that goes there, to they're not judging anything. They're just there for us. These young people volunteering, how happy they are to give soup, to give some help. Helping one person might not change the whole world, but it could change the world for one person. For that person, your little help meant the whole world. Doing good does you good. Evidence shows that helping others can have a positive effect in your own mental health and well-being. Doing good does you good. So, brain areas that benefit for giving social support. If you notice, this figure is a female figure, okay? Is done on purpose because females, women are more responsive to this act of giving. Sorry, these are statistics. So, in counterpart, also women receive more reward because they are more involved in this volunteering work. So, by giving any social support, it can be just a smile, just a hi, reduce stress-related activity in this place called dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, right anterior insula, and right amygdala. What these regions are regions that is our emotion, our reaction to stress, to insult is located. It is a very not ancient part of the brain, but it's the Middle Age, which came with the mammals. So once they being chased, and they have to get out from that fear, that is the area that prepare themselves to fight and to run. So it is very important area. And in humans, this area became very important target for psychotherapy. So many of these, our stress, our trauma, psychological trauma, is affected, impact this area, these neurons from this area. Greater reward relate activity in left and right ventral striatum. So reward either bad stimuli, say gambling, drugs, but also compassion, volunteering. It boosts this area, this sense of reward. That's why the drug addicted, they want to sense more and more this reward. And unfortunately, because these drugs cause dependence, they need more and more quantity to get the same sensation reward. So that's why they can die. But there's some good work that doesn't cause this kind of, is addictive, but not in that level, like making our masks, serving in this Fraternity Beyond Frontiers. So the brain is prepared to give a reward. It's a neurochemical background. Greater caregiving related relate activity in septile. So there is an area that lighten up when I am caring others. In August brain, the functional MRI scan showed specific activation when a participant was giving support, but not when receiving. So they want to see how much these brain areas would lighten up to those people that are giving and those that are receiving. They said no. So only those that give support, they have the reward. For example, the research found that while performing stressful mental math tasks, participants who gave the most support had reduced activation in brain areas related to stress. However, the person receiving support on a math problem didn't display activation in these areas related to stress. Also, giving social support was associated with increased activity in the brain area that function as part of the reward system, as I said, during the affiliative task. These changes within the brain help to explain why altruism, giving support, has multiple health benefits. So there's other life benefits. Helping others can help you live longer, of course, because then I'm not in this horrible stress situation, building up, damaging metabolite that will damage my vessel, my cells, my liver, my heart, etc. Altruism is contagious. Oh, look how beautiful it's contagious. So so more we do to community gets better, but we also get this counterpart. Helping others makes us happy. One team of sociologists tracked 2,000 people over 5-year period, and found that Americans who described themselves as very happy volunteer at least for 5.8 hours per month. Giving back might give individuals a mental boost by providing them with neurochemical sense of, that means boost of reward. So it's nothing, right? 5.8 hours per month, but has to be, they say, regularly. It's not 20 hours in 1 month and then 6 months without not doing this. No. Helping others may help chronic pain because we know we have our own morphine. It's called endorphins, which is a morphine type of neurochemical that can be boosted. Is it as strong as morphine to kill the pain? So it helps. Helping others lowers the blood pressure. We know that because the stress hormone is lower, and we know this stress hormones is the main cause to elevate the pressure. Helping others promotes positive behaviors in teens. Who has teens? They should also, not only they are distracted towards good things, but also they can have a nice positive behavior instead of being rebellious, which sometimes takes to a difficult situation. Helping others gives us a sense of purpose and satisfaction. So remember that Viktor Frankl said we have to find purpose in life, the meaning in life. So especially, they say, studies show that volunteering enhances an individual's overall sense of purpose and identity, particularly if they no longer hold life-defining role like worker or parent. So when we retire, be careful, because we lost that title. Oh, I work in such a place. I am the worker of that company. Or I was parenting, or we have kids went away. Sometimes the family, is not as a whole anymore. So in this situation, it's very important to get new purpose in life. be called like, oh, such and such a person. Look, he is a helper here in our organization. He is giving passes, Alois is giving the water, the blessed water. So we have to find purpose, new purpose, and hopefully identity. Well, so Allan Kardec, of course, he was worried about that time in 18, I don't know, when was it? The Genesis, 69? In the chapter 18, he says this, the time has arrived, signs of time. Well, Kardec was very, very worried about, because at his time, the materialism was so high. The technology, the Industrial Revolution was more than 100 years there, well established, how good it was for the economy, how wealthy you could be. Of course, it was used for war, as, to make war, all these things. But anyway, there was this boost in the society, materialism. Science also was helping to enhance materialism, because then they say, look, we just, they even said, we don't need God anymore because we know how to cure, we know everything, we have this medicine, we have anesthetic, we can have a surgery performed, we can remove this, replace this, etc., etc. That was the time. Today we know that doesn't work like this, but that time, in the end of 1800, that was the problem. But Kardec, by asking the spirits, wrote in this Genesis book, this chapter. Item 5. Humanity has already accomplished incontestable progress. Men, by their intelligence, have attained to knowledge of the science, arts, material comforts never reached before. An immense progress remains still for them to attain, which is to make charity, fraternity, and union reign among them in order to assure to them their moral well-being. So, material thing, but it is still lacking. All these things, for me to be considered happy, I have a well-being life. They could never accomplish this progress with their present belief, which is the materialism. Their superannuated institution, which are, let me just say what is annuated is, archaic, outdated, obsolete institution. So he's called archaic, which are remains of another age, good for that time, that epoch, sufficient for a transitory state, but which, having given all that it has to give, would only be a hindrance now. So we cannot stuck in this situation, he says. It was good in old time, in transitory state, may still be sufficient, but we cannot keep this because this will be a big hindrance to our moral, to our wellness. And he continued, it is not only the development of intelligence which is necessary to man, it is the elevation of sentiment. And for that reason, it is necessary to destroy all that which excites in them the undue selfishness and pride. Such is the period they are entering, and which will mark one of the most important phases of humanity. This phase, which is being elaborated at this moment, end of 1800s, is the necessary complement of the preceding state, which is the materialistic state, as the mainly age is that of youth. Now we are in the adulthood. It could then be foreseen and predicted in advance, and thus they say that times appointed by God have come, which is to grow morally, spiritually, and morally. And that was a very good talk by Luis Lima that showed that we have to cut the drainage of intellectual achievement towards materialism so it can be used for our moral advancement. And our Joanna De Angelis says in this book called Give Yourself to God. Divaldo Franco was that psychograph. The soft enchantment of to serve. When serving in any form of solidarity, there is a soft and sweet enchantment that touches the individual, giving him or her an existential sense and human dignity. However, simple the service that aims to help others, it becomes a valuable contribution to the moral development of humanity. So it's not helping others, I'm helping myself. By helping others, I am getting a little bit more enlightened. I am illuminating myself a little bit more as compared to yesterday. This person, Felice Leonardo Leo Buscaya, also known as Dr. Love, well, yesterday was the day of lovers, so Dr. Love was an American author and motivational speaker and a professor of the Department of Special Education at the University of Southern California. He says, too often we underestimate the power of touch, a smile, a kind word, a listening ear, an honest compliment, or the smallest act of caring, all of which have the potential to turn a life around. So my challenge to you, if you don't have other questions, because I'm always wants to have someone talking, think about an act of kindness that turn your or someone else's life around. The smallest is the better. The subtlest one is the better. Because those are the ones that we miss more when we don't have any more. That smile, that touch, that kind word, that harmonious ear that was always there to listen to my sometimes complain. They're there. So we only see how much that act changed my life. When they're not there for some reason. So I challenge you to think about how your life got softer, and you could go through some difficulties because someone came without asking much to help. Even just being there. So again, take a look again in our faces. And charity is loving action, serving is a way of loving. Thank you so much. Okay.
Sorry about that. I was muted. I was just saying, thank you so much, Yasco. This was a wonderful reminder, a wonderful talk, and there were so many things we could say about your presentation, but I think it was such a great reminder because life is full of stress, and especially, now, everything that we're going through, that everyone's enduring with not just COVID, but, the overall social unrest or civil unrest that's going on. It's being felt by everybody to some degree or another. So it's such a great reminder. I love the question that you posed at the end. I don't know if I
You
should
can be
share.
the first. You can be the first.
I was trying to think, like, what was the most. There's so many, things that have
And it's
happened.
very small. Smallest is better.
Yeah, and this I think was something very, very small. Not wanting to, go into anything too personal, but many, many moons ago, when I was about 18 or 19, I had moved back home, and I remember my parents had come pick me up from my apartment, and had driven me back to their house. And I remember when we arrived outside my parents' house, like my head was, down, and I was feeling very, just sad. And I remember saying to my parents, like, apologizing for just causing drama and all that kind of stuff. And my father, very matter of factly, turned around because he was driving. Well, he had parked at that point, but he was in the driver's seat. He turned around, and the way he said to me, or what he said to me was that, because I had said a bunch of things to him, or to them. I had said, I was very embarrassed, and all these, things you do when you're young and dumb and naive and all these things. And he turned around and just said, we love. I'm paraphrasing, and this is not verbatim. Basically, he turned around with his whole heart and just said to me, we love you. We're here for you to support you. Everyone makes mistakes. It's important just to move on from this. And I remember that was such a pick me up because I hadn't even considered that. So I never, honestly, I don't think I got the chance to really mention that to him before he passed away, but it was so impactful. I don't believe he
It's
knew.
unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't think he knew how impactful that was for me, who had recognized I had made a big mistake in my life. And I felt very, ashamed, and felt very bad that I caused stress to my parents who loved me so much. But I remember that. I mean, I know my mom's watching this. So, Mom, you're also very wonderful too. I'm just not some of the things that you said as well to me. But yeah, that was just something that was impactful.
I
So,
think they all know, parents know because they were also young one time. And don't you think they didn't make mistakes too?
oh yeah,
They can understand in 10 times more what is going on in their children's mind and heart because they also made mistakes, and I don't know if they were forgiven, they were supported, but you know. So I'm sure your father, oh my God, he understood, he
I'm sure
cherished.
now. Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
So we have in our chat, if we can have, I know Regina B, she wrote, to answer your question, Yask, or the suggestion you posed, her moment that was really meaningful for her was, she says, a friend sat by my side the whole afternoon on the day my son died. No words needed. Her presence was enough. That is powerful.
Oh wow, this is very powerful. Because there is no word for those occasions.
Yeah.
You just need the warmth, the heat, the heart there, the arms embracing. That's the good thing. It's like a Chico. Chico was saying when the mother came to him, well, that one of his, I don't know if it was a son, died. He didn't have, so people were looking what he's going to do, Chico Xavier. He just stand up, went towards this mom around the table and just embraced her and cried with her. That was so consoling to this mother, she said. He had no word, he just embraced her and cried with her.
Wow.
Isn't it wonderful? Yeah, so we should, this is so powerful.
Solidarity is so powerful. And I'll read some other feedback from people as well. And I'll just say that, I think for any of us who go through a real hardship in our life and you find yourself really struggling and going through turmoil, I think that's something that we learn, is that solidarity is so impactful. I know that we've learned that in our life, going through different things, that, just to have someone there
Yeah.
to say, it's okay. It's okay to feel how you feel, or, you know, just to, be a support system for you is monumental.
Mhm.
So I'm going to read, Daniel, if you could put it up on the screen. There's someone by the name of Lawyer Elder Costa. His comment is, I was told once I saved my friend's life just by calling him a few minutes, calling him before a few minutes before this friend had decided to end his life. Giving a timeout to say hello to someone can make a difference. Absolutely. And Mr. Costa, it's a really great reminder, because oftentimes we are utilized by the good spirits to intervene, to help these people. That's why if you ever have a feeling of like, oh, let me call this person or let me see how they're doing, do it.
Do it.
Always do it, because you
Do
never
it.
know. It could be a little, a good spirit whispering, hey, this person needs help. Go talk to them. Go
Yeah.
listen to them. And
We need your voice. You need your arm. Go there,
yeah,
please. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. So
absolutely.
through. Oh my God, it's so strong, powerful. Yeah.
And then we have Hosalda. She says, thank you. Great talk and reminder to all of us. There you go. Thank you, Rosada, for watching and participating. Then we have Marisa DeMello. Who's that?
Oh, mom, hello.
Awesome talk, Yasco, she says. I don't know if there you go. It's up on the screen for you. And then we have Samia. Thank you, Samia, for watching. She says, what a wonderful talk, Yasco. Thank you so much. And someone named Kirsten posted some questions. So we're just going to
Oh.
we're gonna share one of the questions here. If my technical staff there in the back can put up the question here. The question is, what about people who say they are too sick themselves to volunteer, or who find many obstacles to do good?
Well, yeah, I know when we are sick, it's so difficult. I heard sometimes it's even difficult to pray. So we often ask someone to pray for us because it's so difficult. However, if we believe that this volunteering will be the best remedy, won't we try to take it? Even if it was a painful injection, we go. So we have just to have someone there that will give the first support, say, let's go. I have there, go with me, let's go. And once there is this initiation of this movement, then you're gonna see how much of a energy boost comes from that. That is what everybody says. But it needs someone. It cannot do by her or himself. It needs someone. The same way it needs someone to pray. It needs someone to get them. Let's go. Let's get ready. Let's change clothes. Let's go with me. Even for half an hour. Let's go. So that is first boost and is important. But we need help for the others, from the other.
So are you
Solidarity. We need.
sorry? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. So are you saying that it's good to volunteer and help others, like in a group as well, like
Yeah,
to go, so we can sort of stimulate each other and encourage one another to go and do good?
exactly. Because sometimes alone is difficult. For me to suddenly, when I'm okay, yes, I can go to the internet, see who needs a volunteer, or even pick up, phone. But if when you're not in a good, you need someone just appear there,
Yeah.
and say, let's go. But someone that can not judge, but to say, let's go. If I promise I can bring you back. But they say that once you start to move, it's such a boost of energy because our body was made for that. It needs this boost of solidarity, of seeing the other as equal in order to help myself. In
Mm,
order to help myself, I have to mirror others as equal to me. And the only help can come is from them. Even God, if He wants to help me to answer to my prayer, He needs to use these friends, these group members, right? He
right.
needs to give a passes. He needs someone to go. Let's go there. Yeah. So group is a very important activity.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yasko, something you just said triggered something in my mind. So you're talking about mirroring. So I remember mirror neurons. So
Yeah.
why is it that there are people who seem to inherently have empathy and compassion and really seem to have mirror neurons, which I'll let you, or I can explain in a second. Why is it that it seems like some people have really good working mirror neurons and others not so much? It seems like people, they lack empathy or they lack compassion, or they can look at someone on the street and absolutely have no sympathy towards them.
Yeah. I think, well, I was talking, Paula was calling, I don't know if she's around, but last Sunday, she was exactly talking about these mirror neurons. So the one edge of the spectrum is the narcissist that has too much hyperactivity of this of me. I want, and the other one, it has the autistic person that lacks of mirror neuron. But those are the extremes. In between, even those, we can change because our brain, everything is so dynamic, is so plastic. But we have to be willing to change the way we are. But I don't know how a person that has no compassion, no sympathy, which is the same thing, sympathy, compassion is the same thing, could uh, change. But little by little, there may be something that will trigger this compassion. So it's a small thing, but most of us, we are in that middle part, a little bit more, some situation trigger me more to be compassionate, the other one, but we have to be mindful.
Hmm.
I think we have to be mindful. See the other as one that is me. I, the person is part of me, and I am part of that person, even as a mirror. And together, we need this pandemic showed so clearly that we cannot just be isolated and say, well, I have the best hospital, that's the best care. I don't need to care about the poor one. Well, if I don't take care of the poor ones, be compassionate and giving them also the situation that I have, the infection will come to me. So this pandemic, although people say tackling a little different social group, but it's the most democratic situation because it got everyone. And I have to take care about, like in Brazil, you have people helping you inside your house. If you don't take care of that person that is every morning is taking a public transportation, you know, and say, no, you stay at home during the peak of this thing, I'll pay your salary. You could say, well, I don't want her in my house because my kid can catch the infection. But how selfish could be, but at least I'm doing something. With the time, I may help the person without even thinking what kind of reward my family will have. It's become very natural. So I think it's very important to, how to say, to practice this since we are kids. Youngest better. Because when we are kids, we are so plastic that parents, society, community can boost in a more a better level, all these mirror neurons or other areas or some neurochemical that is related to solidarity, compassion, like oxytocin, and decreased cortisol fighting neurochemicals. So I think the young people, the kids, because they are compassionate, they cannot see prejudice. We are putting the adult, the society is putting this prejudice, racial, religious, class, etc. So once I have prejudice, how can I have compassion? If I was raised to be prejudiced, how can I have a compassion towards the people that has all different features than mine, you know? So I think it is, we have to do, it's like I posted today in my Facebook, a quote of Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela say that actually we're not uh, born with hatred, with prejudice, with races. We learn to be. So if we learn to hate, why can't we learn to love? It's a long process, but we can learn because human beings has all the potential, this greatest potential to love. And the will is also the greatest potential to change. So I think the kids, the babies, I think we have to provide the environment that would not damage more if it came with the kid was born with certain deficiency to help. Well, we have all the therapy, you know, to help to boost, but certainly not to damage those that the kid was born healthy and we decide to cut off, you know, the society.
It's powerful. That's a fantastic reminder how important it is to educate children at a young age, as early as we can, even if they're, cognitively not showing signs yet that, that they're, that they can comprehend that complexity of the solidarity, but just showing kindness towards others. And it's so interesting that you mentioned this, Yasco. I think we're connected mind to mind because I just remembered something, a post that I saw, and I'm going to read it real quick. And I heard this story before. So it was a post by a surgeon by the name of Jim Clark, somewhere in the United States. I don't know where. And he said, "Today I operated on a little girl. She needed O negative blood. We didn't have any, but her twin brother has O negative blood. I explained to him that it was a matter of life and death. He sat quietly for a moment, the little boy, and then said goodbye to his parents. I didn't think anything of it until after we took his blood, and then he asked, 'So when will I die?' He thought he was giving his life for his sister.
The whole, oh my
Thankfully,
God.
both
Oh,
were
wow.
fine." So it was such a beautiful post. And I've heard the story before about this twin brother. He
You
didn't
see,
have
he was willing to give
He was
even
willing
though
to
his
give
whole,
his life for his twin sister, and
oh,
he thought
wow.
he was, so he gave his blood, and then he's like, "Okay, when am I gonna die?" So it was so sweet,
Oh,
just
wow.
thinking about that and hearing, obviously, these parents must have been good, parents and teaching them, good things, but it's so important to teach kids at a young age those types of things.
Oh, this is crucial. This is when I see a person, an adult in jail, you know, and then after that is all sometimes, most of the time downhill. I said, please think about this person 20, 40 years before, when he was a little baby, little kid in this poor environment, how much he was hurt,
Mm,
who abused him,
mhm,
where was I or the community that didn't go protect this boy? Why we let him grow and continue to suffer abuse And the worst of the abuse is not to give him opportunities
Mhm.
to change. So then, so we have to think about that adult who was once a kid,
Yeah.
very much hurt, and we had something to do.
That's such a great reminder. I don't know if you remember this story that Givaldo told once, Yasco, that when he used to, this is like a long time ago, he used to go into the jails in Brazil and give talks, like presentations to the prisoners. And there was one time he went into the jail, and during his talk, there was a gentleman, it was obviously all male jail, and there was a gentleman who, during his entire talk, was just reading a newspaper, and
Mm,
Givaldo, like, noted that, and he found that to be so rude.
mm,
So, but, he continued on to give his talk, and then he finished, and then people were dispersing back to where their cells and whatnot. And this particular gentleman who had been reading the newspaper came up to Givaldo and said, "Oh, Mr. Franco, when will you be returning to the jail again?" And in that moment, Givaldo turned to him and said, because he actually reacted out of anger, and he said, "Well, why do you even care? My entire lecture, you were reading the newspaper. So why do you care when I'm going to come again?"
oh,
And then the man turned to him and said, "No, the only reason I had the newspaper up was to hide my tears from the others. I didn't want anyone to see me crying as you gave your lecture." So he was
oh,
so profoundly touched, and he shared with
mm,
Givaldo that he had been badly abused as a child throughout his whole youth, going from living in the favelas or slums,
mm,
ghettos of
mm,
Brazil, being
mm.
passed from one family to another, always being abused, that he grew up in a life of crime. That's all he knew. And that his message to him was so monumental. So you're right. I mean, we have to think about these people who commit these crimes, do these things. They also, at some point, were a small child who more than likely was abused or hurt or, experienced some great difficulty. So that was a great reminder.
And also, they usually comes like I heard in Baltimore inner city that they're coming from many generations of incarcerated
Yeah.
parents, grandparents, great grandparents. So what chance do they have,
Yeah.
right? So then we condemn the adult, but my God, if I had also been subjected to that with no chances, with all the love, sometimes there is some departure, right?
Yeah.
Some they imagine, because humans is so soft, is so, oh my God, they can suffer, it's forever imprinted, that abuse, so
Yeah.
it comes a devour that can touch that heart to tears. Oh wow, only devout, I guess, can do that,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's amazing.
So, oh wow, yeah. Mm,
But thank you for this evening. And before I close, because my technical
mm,
staff is telling me it's time to close for the evening, I just want to
mm,
mention one other thing, Yasko.
mm,
There's a TED talk by a pediatrician from California, I believe. Her name is Dr. Nadine Burks, and she
mm,
talks about this really life-changing research that was done on trauma in little kids, and
mm,
how that can actually negatively impacts the growth of their brain and negatively impacts them in their life. And that until we learn how to deal with such uh, groups of people, such as that live in low income, who come from many generations of families of incarcerations and abuse, and unless we address the underlying mental, emotional, spiritual needs of these people,
mhm.
it's very difficult to help to rehabilitate them. But that's just a last thought. Yaska, your talk was fantastic.
Oh,
Thank you
thank you
so
so much
much.
for your input,
No,
Kristen.
absolutely. It
Yes,
was
very good. Yeah,
an
thank
honor
you
and a
so much.
pleasure to be here with you, for sure.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all for
Yes.
listening.
Thank
Yeah.
you, everyone, for listening, and thank you for watching. We're just going to end with a short prayer, again, in gratitude for this lovely evening. over the internet. So join me in prayer and gratitude to our speaker, Yasco. We're thankful and grateful for our spirit guides, for the loving guides that guided our speaker this evening, and for all those workers of love and light who allowed this loving vibration to reach all those who are truly in need, whether they are aware of it or not. May these loving vibrations continue to be echoed throughout the world. We pray, dear Creator, now more than ever, may these teachings that Yasco shared this evening, the need for solidarity, the need for kindness towards ourselves and others, the need to reevaluate and readjust our lives. May each one of us, and at the intimacy of our own hearts and souls, feel this message from this evening and do a self-reflection. We pray for those in both realms of life, for those who send in their prayer requests to the Spirit Society of Baltimore, those names who are in our hearts. We thank you, dear Creator and our Master Jesus, for being and allowing us to feel your presence and your loving vibrations this evening. We thank you, and so be it. So briefly, we are just going to be going over the calendar. I'm just going to pull it up real quick, the calendar for the SSB. I don't know if my technical staff can pull it up on the screen. If not, I'll read to you. Do not forget that Sunday, June 14th, which is tomorrow, we have the special talk, the special virtual lecture by Givaldo Franco, talking about fraternity boosting humanity into a new era. There will be English interpretation will be provided, so please tune in, and you can go to our website for more information as well. And for those also, you can check out our calendar at the ssbaltimore.org for the rest of our June calendar. But just again, be reminded that we do have our special event tomorrow. It will take place at 6 p.m. So tune in. It will be virtual, and connect with us, and it'll be a wonderful event that we'll be able to experience together on a beautiful Sunday tomorrow. I'm sure that it's going to be. So thank you, everyone, for watching, for participating, and we wish you all a very blessed evening. Good night.